All right, there we go. No intro. Sorry, I'm running late. I had dog issues to contend with this morning. When it's down to 19 degrees here, things change for my schedule, and it's dark here in the mornings now. How you guys doing? We're gonna do a Red Pill Mythbusters show today. I will give you the lowdown on why I chose this as our topic today. But first, I just want to do a run around the panel here. I got John Fitch, former MMA extraordinaire, still pretty much an MMA extraordinaire. Troy, you're in London. Where are you right now? Are you what country are you in, sir?
Back in London again, I'm afraid. Back in London, just for the onset of the new COVID variant that everyone's banging on about. So exciting to be back.
Just ignore it.
John from Apex Mindset. I got, excuse me, Paul Benjamin. Got you from Apex Mindset. Why do I say John?
A lot of Johns.
A lot of Johns. How are you doing, sir?
Good, man. Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doing good today.
Right. I wore a collar shirt to show people why, if you have no neck, you shouldn't have no collar. You shouldn't wear collar shirts. Is this thing?
Legend.
Oh my god. Okay.
Speaking of collared shirts.
Exactly. Oh wait, hold on. There we go. We have Sterling Cooper. Yes, the pizza boy has arrived. He's got hot sausage for you.
I hate when I'm scrolling through porn, so before I brag on the internet that I haven't been fapping, that Sterling comes up and it kills the mood for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn it.
Has that actually happened?
That should put you in the mood.
Every day.
It's good. Sterling, how you doing? How's your new program going, by the way?
I'm doing all right. It launches tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern time. So if people still haven't got it, they still have, what's that? Almost 11 and a half more hours to get their hands on it.
There you go.
The price jumps up.
Get your hands on it. Yeah. There we go. And Aaron Clary is with me live from his secret bunker, his compound in. Do you have a minefield around your house now?
No, this is an old abandoned missile silo. That's where all South Dakotans live. I see. We have all moved to abandoned missile silos, and very, very comfy once you decorate the concrete.
Nice.
It's like a thing. You can you can buy those.
You can, yeah.
What? Or have they vacated NORAD and now you can actually move down into the?
Well, they're not just the missile silos, though. That's more North Dakota to give you Dakota culture. But there's a town called Igloo, South Dakota, which is about as far southwest as you can get before the next state is Wyoming or Nebraska, and it was an old weapons depot. Wow. Back in World War II, and you can buy these bunkers essentially that housed munitions, and they will house about 12 people. So it's like buying kind of a small apartment building. And some people have gone down there because the infrastructure is there, but you can renovate them, turn them into living quarters. And yeah, that would probably be one of the last holdouts. And maybe not the worst thing if you're a prepper, but it's kind of interesting out there.
Wow. No, Area 51 would be me, Kebab. I'm in the the Nevada high desert here. So anyways, so today's topic, I'm sorry I kind of sprung this on you at the last minute. I didn't realize I was going to be doing the hosting today. I was kind of hoping John was going to come back and host, but he'll be back pretty soon. I know he's coming off a sabbatical pretty soon, so he will most likely he will chime in. The reason why I wanted to do this show today is we have done in the past where I think we've done maybe on this show. I've certainly done it on my show. I've done shows where I kind of try to dispel some of the misconceptions about the red pill, and that's not technically what I wanted to do today. Because we've done those shows. It'd be very easy for me to say, here's why everybody's wrong about the red pill, and you need to just get your act together, mister. What I wanted to talk about is of course, we've seen the sort of expansion, let's just say, of red pill topics at the very least. I don't know for sure if we could really say it's the manosphere going mainstream, because I don't really think it's going mainstream. I think certain acceptable topics are going mainstream. And I have had at least 2 different series on, I think one of them was on Amazon Prime, and I think the other one was on, or maybe it's HBO. And then another one on Netflix, and everybody keeps throwing these Sex in the City style, either their documentaries or their like talk shows. And Sterling, this might interest you as well, because a lot of these guys are or not guys, but they're mostly women, of course. They are like sex therapists, kind of, that's their grind, I guess. So I've been looking at these, and then when I look at either the commentary that goes along with these, or if I look at somebody like, say, like Kevin Samuels, for example, or if I look at the guys who are getting get a lot of sort of fame, or they're already in the mainstream and they start touching on these topics, I notice that the same mythology that we've been talking about forever keeps coming back. It keeps resurfacing. And so it's like it's almost like with every new generation, people run back to these common tropes or common ideas. And I think that probably the first one is like, the myth of the soulmate myth. That's the easiest one to sort of debunk, I think. But there's and I included this in my first book, which is there's a section, it's actually a whole dedicated section in The Rational Male called Mythology. And really what it is like, these are common, like, sort of blue pill myths that people still kind of cling to or believe. And I wanted to kind of revisit some of these, because now with hindsight, going on almost 20 years, at least for me anyways, I wanted to sort of cover some of the most common myths that not just women believe, but also guys believe as well. So we're going to kind of spread it around, because I don't want people to think, oh, you're just bashing on women because they're just ratchet chicks off of Fresh and Fit or something like that. What I'm getting at here is that there's these myths are things that guys believe as well, and they will sort of create this feedback loop. So we never kind of get out of it. We never really learn how to leverage why these things are myths in the first place. So the first thing I wanted to get into is I think the easiest ones that I see coming up are things like myth of the lonely old man, soulmate myth, which is an easy one. There's myth of the biological clock. And I think that might even be a good one to start with, because I think a lot of women really get wrapped up in the idea that they can freeze their eggs, or they have more time than they actually do. And so I'll just give a really quick breakdown of what maybe that's a good one to start with, is the biological clock. I think I'll just give you the outline of what I have seen is I think that a lot of women right now, still like young women today of this generation, of the latter half of the millennial generation, and pretty much all of Generation Z, are sort of coming into this mythology thinking that they have more time than they actually do. And this is what I think a lot of, for lack of a better term, outrage, indignation generating podcasts right now, holding women accountable. This is a really tough one, I think, for most women, because they tend to believe that they have more time than they actually do. Are any of you kind of encountering this in your own podcast, or are you seeing guys buy into this as well? I think that might even be a more spicier way to angle to hit this at. Do you think that guys believe that women's sort of sexuality or their sexual agency is like evergreen?
Oh, yeah. They definitely think, like, any dude who's still plugged in is still buying into that myth of like, oh, if I'm like a 34-year-old dude, I'll get married to a 34-year-old woman, and we'll have plenty of time to have a kid. I remember I used to know this girl back in Los Angeles. She was like 30 at the time. She was 34. Yeah. And she went to a fertility clinic, and I'll never forget this. She went to a fertility clinic because she wanted to have kids, and the doctor, with a straight face, told her, "Don't worry, you've got plenty of time." As a 34-year-old woman. And I don't know how the fuck that doctor sleeps at night.
Yeah.
And a really big, expensive bed.
Yes, because all she's doing is like feeding them this lie so she can then charge her IVF like in 2 years' time at like six figures a pop.
So there's definitely a financial, I was going to say there's definitely a financial incentive for stuff like that. I think that's one of the things I see most common in a lot of these sort of, hold women accountable shows right now, is maybe that's probably the most dangerous myth to really sort of debunk or to bust right here, is I think women, because we live in a gynocentric social order, really buy into the social conventions that reinforce that.
Yeah.
Like it makes them like Cappy, for instance. I mean, we talk about what is the rise of the she economy. Like, what was, I think it was like 45% of women by year 2030 will be single and childless.
Correct. Yeah. And to throw you guys a little red meat, not that that's all the show is about, but I've had a curious little, not a huge jump in 40-something women, but there's been a spate or a cabal of 40-something gals that have actually contacted me, and obviously private consulting. And it's like this, I guess, for a lack of a better term, a clinical term would be called post-wall denial. These are women in their 40s. Now, some of them are very attractive too for 40. And they're like, well, how my girlfriends and I were kind of wondering, like, where are the guys? And at first I gotta say, is this shtick? Is this a troll? And then I see, like, personal consultation, and I have to tell them, and I have to remind myself, so much propaganda and misinformation and lies essentially have gone into women of my generation, essentially. Like, yeah, it's over. Yes, men. I mean, one, they're getting older, they're losing their testosterone. They don't have, it's not like they're 25 anymore. Two, you're older, they're not that interested in you. Three, they've probably gone through the ringer and divorce, or have dated enough girls. You're not new, you're not unique anymore. The sheen is long gone. And now some of these gals are like, okay, well, how, and in all intellectual honesty and fairness to them, they have asked, what do we practically do? Some women they're willing to settle now, beta versus alpha, sharing an alpha. They're like, okay, well, how do I become a mistress? I mean, that's one thing that's an interesting little, now, of course, this is only two, so don't think, oh, a trend of mistresses coming to get you. But they're at least acknowledging, like, okay, look, if you want this guy, you're gonna have to go and poach one from another gal, or you got to look. And so it still is this canard, this myth that these gals, they really take it to their sex life grave, where it's like, lady, it's over. Go home. It's like Ferris Bueller's Day Off at the end. It's like, the show's over. Go home. Shoo. And so some of them are coming to that realization, but man, it's a tooth pulling experience. But yeah, that myth is real, especially on the part of gals.
Sterling, what am I looking at here?
Oh, well, speaking of this topic, so I got this message from yesterday from a roommate. It's what I dropped in the chat on rulezero. I thought it was kind of on point. So
is this just an elaborate flex, Sterling?
Well, kind of, but it's also, but more to the point, like, this is a difference here. So this woman is 26 and she lives in Romania. So, and you can see the difference in her mentality versus a Western girl. She's only 26, and she's like, and if you read this question,
read it out for us. It's kind of small.
Oh, okay. So she said, "Please, when will you come home, Daddy?" So I hooked up with this girl when I was in Romania, and she said, "Come here for New Year's so we can spend it like a family. Leave your bitches for 3 days at least." And I said, 3 days is enough to get you pregnant. I want a son. And she said, "Me too, but I'm not kidding. In 2 years max, I have to make a boy. And I really don't care if you are not truly involved to raise a kid, but I need good, strong genes." But that's like,
illustrating it right there.
But this is the difference. Like, a 26-year-old Eastern European woman is like, the clock's ticking. I gotta move. A 26-year-old Western woman with that idea, boom, good luck finding her.
Is that another myth we think of? Like, it's easier in the Ukraine. It's easier in Japan.
Yes, it's a myth. It's a myth in terms of the fact that it's. How can I put it? It's nuanced, right? As a Western guy, you certainly get more attention. Certainly in the Ukraine, because I've been there recently, and I've also been in Russia. I was in Russia until Tuesday. I came back to London. You certainly get more attention. You certainly have some degree of exotic value. The girls will, particularly for me, because I say I'm from London. They're like, "Oh my God, you're from London. That's so cool." Harry Potter, James Bond. So they do like the shtick, and you could get
the contrast. But go ahead.
They like the shtick, and you could get a bit of attention. But does that translate into anything more? Not necessarily. And what me and James Tusk were saying was, in Russia in particular, what often happens is you get initial great sort of reception initially, and then you got a date, and then it turns into 2 dates, and blah blah blah. Ukraine is a bit. My experience of Ukraine was it was a bit sort of easier, if you like, but I suppose, but that's just about dating and having sex and so on. I suppose the wider question, based on what we're just talking about, of like longer term relationships and finding a high quality woman and all that stuff, is it easier in Ukraine or Russia? Not necessarily. No, not necessarily.
Well, if your game sucks, your game sucks, right?
Yeah, if your game sucks,
I mean, you'll get chewed up and spit out in Eastern Europe if your game sucks. Just a lot easier.
Oh
exactly.
Yeah, they're a lot more. They're a bit more pragmatic in Eastern Europe. It's like, okay, does he actually have money that means to like look after me? Is he like, what's his social status like? They'll be a bit ruthless in the way they measure dudes on this sort of stuff. At least like more overtly ruthless than Western women will be more like covertly ruthless about it. But I mean, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit there, Troy, in the sense that Eastern European women are a little bit more traditional, in that they're looking to like. I was running into girls in the Ukraine who were legitimately looking to like become housewives. Like that was their goal. Was like, I want to pump out babies,
Yeah, so, fair enough. I think it also partly depends on where you are and the kind of women you're meeting. I mean, I've met some girls in the big cities. I've met some women in the big cities, and some of the more Western ideas about independence and so on have come in. Like, for example, I was on a date last weekend with a girl who is in her 20s, but quite late 20s. She comes from Dagestan, which is a very, very traditional part of Russia where, people get married ridiculously young. And she was saying to me via Google Translate, because we don't speak the same language. She was telling me how she has some conflict with her family because, and basically what it sounded like was she is a non-traditional girl. She's gone to the big city to kind of work and study and have a bit of a good time. And her family's very, very, very traditional. So I am meeting some women in the center of these big cities who are perhaps they've thrown off the yoke of traditionalism a little bit. But sure, I mean, go anywhere outside the main cities and 100%, you're going to find girls who want to get married, want to settle down quickly. But
I would agree with you that it's a myth that it's like, quote unquote, like a layup
it's
not a layup. You still have to have
what I noticed. So what I noticed is, generally speaking, the more westernized they are, the easier it is to get laid by them, but the worse they are for any kind of long-term prospecting. That's just what I noticed. Like,
good observation.
And so, but what's interesting, what'll throw guys off too, is that like especially I noticed this when I was in Poland, women embrace their femininity there. And they're not as indoctrinated with feminism. So like they'll be cool to you. You know what I mean? And they're going to make you feel good and welcomed and stuff when you're talking to them, which could make dudes who don't understand women think, oh, all these girls want to sleep with me. And then of course they'll find out that a lot of them are traditional and probably not, but there are those that will. Like if you're in Warsaw and stuff, just like what Troy's saying, the ones that are more westernized, guess what they're going to do? They're going to do what Western women do, which is sleep with you quickly because they see an opportunity or whatever. And then, of course, not good for long-term prospecting. It's just the way it ends up being.
Do you think that guys still believe that, though? Do you think that they like, I remember when Roosh wrote Pussy Paradise, Poosy. And he was I think he was, I think that book was really, and I really wish it was still around. I have the digital copy of it still. I think he was disappointed because he left Poland. I believe it was Poland. I think Poland was Pussy Paradise to at one point. It's probably not anymore. I remember he was very disillusioned because he thought it was such a great experience, and he came back to it and realized that all the girls had changed.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's like guys have sort of this pussy promised land that they like? Maybe it's Southeast Asia, maybe it's like the Philippines, maybe it's the Ukraine.
I think they definitely do, but I think there are places where it probably is very easy if you're a white Western guy, and we're talking more about the Southeast Asia type destinations. Really, I don't think it's. I don't know, man. It's just it's so nuanced. I mean, I get a much better reception in Russia or the Ukraine than I do in London. There's no doubt about that. But what that actually then translates into is another matter. And we took our clients in Kiev over the summer, and on the first day he was going around chatting to different girls, being social and everything. First day he gets something like 18 phone numbers, and of course at the end of the day you're like, yeah man, I got 18 phone numbers, I'm the king of the world. I'm just gonna be in a gold jacuzzi in Kiev in some penthouse surrounded by these girls, and it's gonna be like a rap video. And then he messaged them all, and he got about I think he got about 2 or 3 dates out of it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a sort of a fool's gold thing in a way. They like you initially. They like the sort of the sheen, oh, this is cool Western guy, blah, blah, blah. But then there's also competing against that. And maybe Sterling can speak to this in Romania, because what I've been told about Romania is actually they kind of want to just meet a decent guy from their own country, really, and sort of settle down with him. So all that glitters is not gold, fellas.
Yeah, like the game when I was in the Ukraine and Romania was to like convince them that I wasn't just there on holiday.
Yeah.
That was like a giant part of the game. Was just like, no, yes. I come here on business all the time. Like that was the game we had to play.
Yes, that was definitely a game.
Well, we were debating visits. We were debating this backwards and forwards so much during the summer, because Tusk, I mean, Tusk, great looking guy, and also very sort of like, he just does what the hell he wants. So he's just like, no, I just tell them I'm here for 48 hours and they've got to come to the hotel. And if they don't bang me, then screw them. I'm never, whatever. He's just very like dogmatic about it. I'm a little bit like, I'm going to hedge my bets here a little bit, I think. So I'm a little bit more like, yeah, I'm here for work, and I come backwards and forwards, and sort of just give that impression that you might be around a little bit longer. And I think, you're going to get the first strategy. You're going to get those women who are just very up for it and they just want to have a quick bang. But I think with doing that, you do definitely risk losing out on other opportunities, because they want somebody who's going to be around for a bit.
Yeah, and the way I look at it, if I get her pregnant, then I'm technically I won't be lying, because I'll probably come back again.
yeah, fair. Exactly.
Probably.
I'm okay. So that's a good myth. I think we have sort of debunked that one fairly well. I've got a thing here that and maybe these are myths or maybe they're not, but I think this is probably a good place to start. Now, that the myth of like the idea that it's easier in another country. I mean, if you don't have game in the United States and you don't have game in Estonia, you're still suffering from the same social lack of social skills, more or less.
It makes you a bigger mark though too, right? Like these guys go to
roll you over in Europe.
Oh, they especially go to Ukrainian women. Are you kidding me? Oh, dude, they'll have citizenship and 75% of your stuff. You'll be like, I love her.
Wait, my buddy Jeff too?
Yeah. Dude, we all know that guy. Filipinos too, and some of the Asian women. Oh,
he's on his 5th mail order bride. It's just
well, 5th time's a charm though.
I can speak to that in terms of Southeast Asia, because I used to work in this pub right back in Australia. Like the last job I ever had was me working in a bar, and it was this tradies bar, so full of bricklayers and carpenters and painters and like scum of the earth guy, like salt of the earth, but also scum of the earth. Anyway, all these dudes would go to Thailand, like once a month they go for a week, or they take their every 2 months they go out for a couple of weeks to Thailand, and they come back with all these pictures and stuff, and it's like these are obviously dudes who are like don't have any game whatsoever, but they're going out to there, they're getting what on the surface looks like success, but it's really just them getting like these Thai women basically being like, all right, opportunistic, there's cash involved. Like I can, if I convince this dude that I like him, I might be able to get my whole family moved to Australia, and then set them up for life. And that was the game for a lot of these Thai girls, was to get to dupe one of these older like tradies.
Oh, that was the contractor game. That was a contractor game, military contractor. So these guys would work for like 90 days, and then they get about 2 weeks off. They're making, usually between 150 and maybe 2.25 a year, right? And so they make good money. They're not spending it, and then they're doing these just vacations, and they're just banging women out in Thailand or whatever. You'll have these older guys in their 60s or something, divorced, and that's what they end up doing. They end up trying to wife up some girl in Thailand. One dude was like moving to Thailand, and he was going to support her and her family and all this stuff. out in Thailand and live out the rest of his life. Now, God bless him. You know what I mean? If that's what he wants to do, that's fine. And the girl is used to transactional, sex anyway. That's her mindset anyway. So whatever. And that's what he's used to. So that's your thing. Have at it. It's not my thing. I'd rather have genuine desire, but hey, man, go for it.
Think like, okay, so John Fitch, you've been married once before and you've been divorced. So you're out of that whole thing. I know Paul you're not married per se. You're just sort of like paired up with a main chick, right, Paul?
Yeah, I have an LTR. Yeah.
Okay, and Aaron Clary has never been married, as far as I know.
He's been dating my mom.
He's been dating your mom. Okay,
I want those thick-necked children when we approach.
Yeah. She's 72 years old. She's single. She's a nice lady.
And that white trim, man, white tail.
That is now my daddy.
I gotta give you grief. Sterling, you've never been married, no? That I know of. You don't have a long-term relationship. And Troy,
I'm free right now.
Troy, you're freewheeling and single. I know you have been in LTRs in the past, but I don't.
Yeah,
you are right now.
Yeah, nothing on the table at the moment.
All right. So my next question is this: there's this idea now. This sort of dovetails in with the myth of the lonely old man. Now, what is the myth of the lonely old man? There used to be a you can find this in old movies. There used to be a worry or a concern amongst women of, let's just say, older generations of becoming a spinster. Right? They didn't want to be an old maid, and they didn't want to die alone. And you had to find a man before it was too late, while you were still, good looking enough. In fact, in Chinese culture right now, when a woman gets past, say, about 25 or 26, they call her what's called a yellowed pearl. She's no longer as let's just say marketable on the sexual marketplace once she gets to a certain age. And I think it was, I remember seeing a documentary one time, and I think it was this American girl who'd gone over there, and she was like 32, and she wasn't bad looking, but like she was way past her prime according to the yellowed pearl principle in China. And the families were very concerned about like getting their sons and daughters married, so they had like sort of this network, and it wasn't even so much of a social network or an internet thing as it was like families of like parents meeting in the park and looking at these matchmakers sort of photo albums to see who's suitable for their son or their daughter. But I think that mythology, the idea or the worry or the concern of becoming a spinster has sort of become, let's just, at the very least, it's been transferred to dudes, but it has, at the very least, it has become unisex. And I don't even think it's so much unisex now. I think the myth of the lonely old man is something that is being used, I guess, leveraged against guys. And I mentioned this way back in the day, and this is actually part of my first book. The myth of the lonely old man goes something like this. If you're never going to find a wife with that attitude, mister, you're going to die lonely and alone, and you won't have any kids, and you're going to be, depressed and die in some.
Or you better hurry up and commit.
Exactly. And you guys
I had
still
somebody do that to me.
Are you guys finding that? Tell me about that, John. What are they?
Yeah, I went on a date a while ago where you're going. Went to the bar, and the girl's friend was bartending. And she went to the bathroom, and the bartender goes, how old are you? And I was like, told her how old I was. And she's like, well, you better hurry up and lock her down. I had to physically like hold myself back from laughing.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, this is
43 and she was like 32.
Right.
Yeah.
She's applying that. She should apply that to herself, because that's the biggest thing right now too. It's just that it's treating men and women the same. They're not the same. And this is what ends up happening. This is why the most dangerous lie you can tell a woman, which we touched on already, is that she has time, when that's exactly what you need to tell a guy, so that he's getting his stuff together and has his resources together by the time he's 32 years old, and isn't getting married too young, settling himself with responsibilities, and then can never really achieve what he sets out to achieve and want. It takes a guy longer, to get into what his goals are and stuff. Whereas a woman's goals, biologically is not that. She doesn't have time. And this is the same thing with the old man myth, though, because guys fare way better alone and old than women do. A lonely old woman is not good. that she's having a rough time. She has a hard time,
Mhm.
much harder time than a guy does. This is just when you look at all the data and all the stuff out there, it just shows that. But we're saying that to guys because we're assuming that, you know, men and women are the same. And then, of course, we reverse it for women because we don't want to make women feel badly because she's 45 and, you know, divorced on her
I
second
think
divorce.
part
or
of it
whatever.
is to encourage men to
To
take
commit.
on women so that we
Yeah.
can take care of them. I think that's a
Take
big part
on
of it
that
too.
45-year-old woman, or else you'll be
You
alone.
know, you're
You know,
irresponsible. You're a bad person. You're a bad guy if you're out there
Yeah.
as an older dude just out there dating and not committing to a woman and taking care of her.
Yeah, wife up that 48-year-old woman because, you know, you'll be alone, guy, if you're not. And
Because that's still like
yeah.
a benchmark of like success
Right.
in life is, you know, I noticed this on Twitter. I'll say something spicy and somebody will say like, "Oh, you're definitely single." Or single.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so like that's the value mark is like whether or not you're accomplished or have good shit going on in your life, whether you're paired off or not.
Yeah, but it's something that guys buy into as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
for sure.
Guys will be the
something.
one to say it.
Guys, yeah, exactly. Guys will also say it. Guys will say, "Oh, you don't want to end up alone," or guys will say, "Oh, you know, I was thinking of getting into a relationship because I don't want to be alone. I wasn't going to have kids because I don't want to be alone when I'm older," and all that kind of stuff. But so guys have definitely sort of drunk the Kool-Aid on this one. I mean, Rollo's essay on this was really eye-opening for me at the time, actually, because when I read that, I thought, damn, yeah, this is true. You know, it doesn't have to be this way. But actually, the truth of the matter is, in real life, I know plenty of guys who are in their 60s, some even into their 70s, who are now single, or either they've been single the whole time. Most of them probably were married at one point or whatever, but they're certainly single now. And they seem to all be having a pretty damn good time because, you know, we live in a pretty fortunate age where, you know, if you can keep your health, and obviously health and mobility is an issue, but if you can retain those things, you're fortunate enough to retain those things, then life doesn't need to actually change that much. You know, we've all got access to the internet. We can all kind of travel. We can all do things, you know, and I don't really, well, certainly of the people that I'm thinking of, who I know in my personal life, who are, you know, kind of older guys, I don't know any of them who are sitting around like crying into their gin at the end of the bar because they haven't got a wife. I mean, most of them are having pretty good lives, getting on with stuff, you know, doing sports, doing writing, doing business projects, and generally bossing it, right? So the prognosis, I think, is actually pretty good. I remember saying to my dad one time as well, you know, like the classic arc for most guys was always, all right, you're single for a bit in your 20s or whatever, then you get married, then you have a few kids, and then inevitably almost inevitably, the relationship fucks up in some way. And then you go through this whole misery of this divorce and blah, blah, blah. And then you come out the other side and you're kind of happy when you're single and you're older. And I said, well, why not just cut out the middle man and just skip all the bit in the middle?
Right.
You know, like, why is it necessary to go through that? Particularly when we know how many marriages end in divorce and there's infidelity and all this kind of stuff going on, right? You know, you could just date. You could just make the decision to go through life as a single guy and just date until the end, really.
Yeah, that's where I want to go with this. Go ahead, Aaron. You were going to say.
Well, I'm not going to put the nail in the coffin. I'm going to get my nail gun and put a lot of nails in the coffin on this one and debunk this myth. When I was younger, let me tell you a story. When I was younger, I was teaching dance class.
What year was that?
This was probably 2003, 2005-ish or so. Maybe I was like,
okay.
Continue.
Women wearing flappers.
Back when I was almost as pretty as Sterling.
Almost.
So I was on my prime, teach a dance class. Middle-aged lady comes up and she says, "Do you have a girlfriend?" I said, "No, I don't," because I didn't. And she says, "Well, I have this nice girl." And I said, "Well, I'm really not interested in dating anymore." She's like, "Oh, well, why?" And I said, "Well, I'm not in the market." And she says, "Well, aren't you afraid you're going to die alone?" I said, "Alone? I'm dating 5 girls right now. I don't want to take on a 6th." And she rolled it. And what it tells you is it's like the immediate assumption that you had to find someone and you'd be alone. And what I disliked about it philosophically is that it assumed you're living in fear. You're not taking action that's in your best interest. It's like, I might die alone. I better do something. Well, that's not fair to you. It's not fair to the person because you're not going out with them for the sake of love or commitment or whatever else. You're doing it because you're afraid you'll die alone, which unless you have long-term cancer, your death will be relatively a small percentage of your living life. I mean, you're not going to be in the hospital that long. But to really put a nail in the coffin, go get this book, the Book of Numbers, and it tells you just what percentage of marriages are happy. Because there's a lot worse things than being alone. And that is having a harping, nagging wife or somebody in the same house with you.
Amen.
And the percentages, now it's hard. It's surprising what data is not out there, but it was pretty hard to pull up this data. The best I could figure it, only 14% of marriages are happy. That's a little bit more than 1 in 8.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I can guarantee you with self-reporting and all that, it's probably worse than that. So let's just call it a 1 in 10 chance that your marriage is going to be happy. That means 9 in 10 is not, which means she's probably a net negative effect on your life and you're not happy. And yeah, hell yeah, I'd rather die alone instead of like, oh, get out of here, lady. So you're better off being alone, kind of having your books, you're doing whatever you want to do, and then you pass away, and you'll have friends. You're no one's really truly alone unless you're a purposed hermit, But you're gonna you could have a much better life without having someone affecting it negatively, simply out of the fear of loneliness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I know a guy here in London who's a writer. He writes history books, and he's got, lives in an apartment, and he has girlfriends and things like this. He sees women from time to time, but he won't let anyone move in with him or anything like that because his focus is the work. It's like, well, I want to write my books. I've got my routine. I want to write the books. I want to just get on with the things I want to get on with. I mean, yeah, I'll see a woman, once or twice a week or whatever, but he doesn't want any cohabitation or domestication. Again, this is a dude in his 70s. I mean, how much longer somebody of that age has got is open to debate, but you can have a pretty good time of it without having to sacrifice yourself to the old ball and chain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't it like an expression? It's like an expression of solipsism too. Whenever women throw that at dudes, it's like when a woman tells an older dude, "Oh, aren't you afraid you'll die alone?" That's her. Yeah. That's her projecting her own fear.
Right.
All right, get into this quick. Now, John Wilkins, this is a good point. Jordan Peterson tells blokes from the UK that life will be miserable for old single guys. I think that's interesting considering what we know about his relationships. But here's a guy that
he's never been alone.
Very well, he's been alone. if you know anything about him, I guess how he got married to Tammy, you'll understand. He was very isolated for a while. The fact of the matter is a lot of people look up to him and look to him for advice, and this is the kind of stuff that's getting sort of floated out there right now.
Yeah.
Another reason I wanted to talk about the myth of the lonely old man is because recently somebody made me aware of this one clip of Kevin Samuels talking about, I guess it was me, he was talking about me, but again, this is not against Kevin. It's actually the caller that called in to ask him about this. This is a guy who's been married twice. So John, this is kind of up your alley because he's been divorced twice. But he made this case, and I don't know if this is necessarily true, so I wanted to pass this around the panel here. Do you think that guys have some sort of deep need to be sort of paired up with a woman? Do you think that there is some sort of deep need for monogamy or having some sort of a stability? Because you can go and you can look at somebody like Roosh, who's been sort of this freewheeling guy who's, definitely been, let's just say, libertine for most of his life. And then right around 40 years old, he decides that he's going to find Jesus. And because he doesn't have a wife and he's looking for the good, virgin bride all of a sudden.
Now, it's fear of not having sexual access.
Yeah, exactly. That's one. And then the other thing is statistically speaking, men remarry more often than women do, and they desire to remarry more often than women do. Now, it could be that women simply are unable to, find a mate after a certain age. So let's just, call a spade there. But why is it, do you think, that guys really feel like the necessity to have that, I guess, companionship?
Well, I think it's partly sexual access, but I think there is a kind of we all kind of like the snuggles as well, don't we? I mean, if we're being real, we all kind of, it's nice to think that there's somebody there. It's nice to feel like you've got that kind of support. And I think a lot of people do buy into the messages that society puts out. And even people in this space, I mean, I know many guys who not many guys, but I know guys who work in this space who behind the scenes, there's a girlfriend there or whatever. They might not be shouting about it from the rooftops, but I think a lot of people, we do want companionship. We do sort of crave that thing. So I suspect it's that, and probably just a bit of fear of mortality as well. I could definitely see how that happens. I mean, going against what I just said, I could definitely see how as somebody gets older, they're thinking, oh shit, actually,
Well, I think it's two things though. I think it's fear of not having sexual access, or that's deeply ingrained there, and also not having a source of that oxytocin bond, right? Which is that one-itis situation we talk about. And so it's just fear of not being able to have that companionship. And so their paradigm is to have that within the confines of a monogamous relationship. And so they search for that. And the thing is, it's easier to make a guy happy when that 50-year-old guy is relatively blue-pilled. He can wife up some chick and be okay with that. He doesn't have a grocery list of crap going on in his head because he's not hypergamous, right? And so he doesn't have this grocery list of stuff, and then he turns around and goes, there's no good women out there. Like, he can just sort of like find some average chick and be cool with that. Most guys. And so they want the oxytocin. They want to secure that sexual access and that oxytocin stimulus from someone. And playing the field doesn't seem to work for them in their paradigm. So they do it, and they can do it easier than women can.
I got this real quick here before you chime in. This is from Multi-Net. Not in the top 10%. So that's what he's evaluating himself as, I guess. Is it practically impossible to have a faithful long-term relationship and have children without being cheated on and divorce raped? I have a modest expectation. Should I geomax? Here's a guy who is actually it dovetails nicely into the myth we just busted a minute ago. Here's a guy who wants to have a faithful girlfriend and have kids and have that sort of that monogamous, I guess, security, to the point where he's ready to move to a different country so that he can.
And there's nothing wrong with wanting that. And that's the other thing. What it is, though, the problem I see is when you're clinging to that idea and you end up going into miserable relationships or situations because you are clinging to the idea that I can't be happy without this. To want that is perfectly fine. I mean, that's a natural thing to want for a lot of guys. There's nothing wrong with that. And as far as geomaxing is concerned, my thought on it is this: if you're going to geomax, do it, but do it for you, not for a chick. Okay. Do it because, what? I think it would be really cool to be in Costa Rica for a year and see what that's like and try this business. Or I think it'd be really cool to go ahead to Poland and learn about that culture for a couple of years. I'm going to date around and see, and knowing that when I date around, I'm going to have good opportunities with women there for what I want. Don't go there just to find a wife, because now your mental point of origin is what? A chick, and you're going to get 8 and alive. That tells me your game is not good, bro.
Well, funny enough, there's quite a few guys. There's quite a few guys who were into game and stuff, and even talk game and things like that. And now they're all kind of past 40, and they're all. There's quite a few of them now who are on the wife hunt. It's become a bit of a cliche now. It's like, right, I'm gonna go around fucking Ukraine. I'm gonna find a wife. Because I don't fully get it, because I sort of think, well, if you've been a dating coach and you've taught this stuff and you've seen the things that you've seen, then how is it so easy just to flip back into that? Right. Okay. Forget all that stuff that I was talking about for the last 10, 15 years. I'm just going to do the societally approved thing now because that's the right thing to do. It doesn't quite make sense to me, but even putting that to one side, I just call me a romantic buffoon, but it just seems, I think setting out and saying, right, I'm going to set myself a project. I'm going to find a wife within 12 months, and I'm going to travel around these countries to do it. Well, it just seems a little bit sort of
person, right?
Well, it just seems the wrong way of doing it. For me, it would be more like, okay, I'm just going to live my life. I'm going to do cool stuff, and if I happen to meet somebody along the way, and I think, this is a person I could have something with.
Well, that gives you strength and frame. The second thing you said there, when you're going about your life and women compliment that, and then you choose one that's better complement the rest, and you end up in a commitment, that puts you on your mental point of origin, gives you frame. If you're seeking out you know, a specific one. And John moved to Japan for the women, but notice he said women plural, right? And so that's the point. And if somebody is out of pocket, he's not going to sit there and keep her around in a miserable relationship, hoping and clinging for some sort of happiness and becoming a slave essentially to somebody else's imperative and goals. And that's really what we're talking about here. It's not becoming this slave to somebody else, right? And so just go about your life. And if that's what you want, ultimately, cool. But the right matchup needs to happen. And so you date around, follow Rollo's book 1 advice, dude, and you'll be fine. You know,
let me chime up. I'll give my 2 cents here because I think I get misquoted on this quite a bit. I'm either like, my joke has always been this is like, you got guys in the black pill community or the, MGTOW, whatever community, or PUA community or the hustler community. And they're like, Rollo can't be red pill because he's married. Right. And then of course the trad cons come at me and they go, well, Rollo can't be married because he's red pill. And it's like, I can't win either way. I've been married for 25 years. I have what I think most guys would call an ideal relationship with my wife. And again, I wasn't looking to get married when I met Mrs. Tomassi. Okay. I was actually thinking about leaving the area at the time that I met her. And, it seemed like a good idea at the time. And it was a good idea at the time. I also attribute the success, however you want to define that, of my marriage to being red pill aware and understanding my nature as a man and her nature as a woman and being complements. And it's been working out very well for a while, as I'm sure Sterling Cooper can attest to because he's met my wife. So when I have people like throw rocks at me for not being in the game or not like dating or whatever else, it's like, well, I mean, I've got a notch count of 40 plus. I have been in the game per se, as far as, working in the liquor industry and working in promotion industry and, doing what I've been doing for quite some time. It's sort of a let's just say a student of human nature for a very long time. So there is that as well. However, the idea is still persistent, is that, well, guys eventually want a kid. Guys eventually want to settle down. Now, I know Sterling's talked about wanting to have kids. I don't know how you're going to facilitate that. And my people want to say that I'm really down on marriage, and I am, the way we do it now. I think that the institution of marriage used to be something entirely different than what it is here in the 21st century. So
state-endorsed unequal contracts, not good.
Right.
But having the relationships all right.
What's known as an unconscionable contract right now. If you read my 4th book, I have a very thick chapter in the middle of it called Marriage. And I break down why it is that I am, people say, well, Rollo says he would never get married again if he got divorced or if he was a widow or whatever. And I go, yeah, because the way we do it now is the problem. It's not the institution. It's just how we're implementing that institution right now. And it isn't all downside risk for guys. In fact, it's one of the worst things that you can do, according to the book of Numbers, per Aaron Clary. So, I mean, just from an economic stance, but however, I do understand the idea, especially from guys who are still sort of subscribing to this blue pill beta myth, that they're going to die alone if they don't find the one. And again, that's one of the reasons why I put the soulmate myth chapter as the very first chapter in my first book, because I figured if nobody read any other chapter than that one, that's the one that was the most important. So I just wanted to clarify that really quickly here, because I think a lot of people think that I'm anti-marriage. I'm not necessarily anti-marriage. I'm just anti the way we do it now, or anti-monogamy or whatever. I'm like, whatever works for you, but we're definitely redefining that at this stage. So I'm not I'm not anti-marriage, but I am anti the way we do marriage today. So I think that needs to be sort of clarified for people right now. That's
probably one of the red pill myths we should talk about too, is the myth of marriage.
Yeah.
it's not what it is today. It wasn't what it was 100 years ago or even 50 years ago.
100%. Yeah, there's so much to talk about there, really.
I see this a lot, especially in TradCon circles right now. Like I was just very critical of Matt Walsh and a few other of these guys, like who I guess say they're either really hardcore TradCons or they are just sort of loosely TradCons in a way. And I think that a lot of guys still rely on that old order. Shame is what it comes down to. But it's shame that you are not living up to societal standards by getting married, preparing yourself for marriage. One of the reasons guys have such a problem with the lost boys generation is because they're not preparing themselves to be perfect husbands and fathers when the right girl magically drops into their lap and they live happily ever after, without really understanding the situation and understanding sort of modern dating and what the sexual marketplace looks like today. Let's see.
Did you have another myth? Because I do have one that's rather important, but I don't want to interrupt.
Throw it out. Go
okay,
ahead.
because I do want to get this out there. Because this is one of those things where men, I think, are also being misled or believing in a wrong myth. Even our current red pill aware type of people, and that is value. Like, how do you derive value in your life? Because we're all going to die here, and while you're here, you need to do, for your own mental sake, for your own existence, do something of value. Now, what's happened is women have abandoned men, more or less. I'm generalizing here, of course, but women have abandoned men and family for themselves, their careers, their politics, their ideologies. And what that has resulted, and you can see this very commonly, and especially younger gals, is that their value system has become insular, like a self-contained value system. Right. I don't know if you guys have come across this thing called self-love. I mean, there's books on this damn shit. And it's like all about how you're, think Oprah, but purified extract of Oprah. You're amazing. You have value of yourself. The fat acceptance movement, biggest, so it's an insular value. You have value. We can even see this in politics. Oh, you're black, you're Hispanic, you're white, you're male, you're female. You like to lick this type of genitalia. You're amazing and brave. It's like, no, that's a trait you were born with. The larger point is, though, in response to women abandoning men and family, and finding value from others, what we risk, especially within like kind of the MGTOW and incel community, is where it's like, oh yeah, well, we have value ourselves within ourselves, and our value is we're not them, or we don't need women, replacing it also with an ideology. And I want to point out to guys is that that's a quick way to become miserable, because value cannot be internally conferred. Value requires judgment, and I would argue investment from another sentient entity, another human. Now, there's various ways that you can come up with value, and a lot of these are productive. So absent females, absent women, absent love, and absent family, what can we do? And I think like Rich Cooper's book, the second greatest book out there next to mine, of course, The Unplugged Alpha, really summarizes this in his last chapter, where we start to look at things like economics. Okay, what value do you provide to society? People will pay you a wage. There's real value conferred. I'm going to pay Troy to teach me how to hit on chicks. There is ethical, principle, moral value. How do I treat my friends? How do I treat, I got nieces and nephews. I want to invest in that. What kind of code and ethics do I? And then people will trust you, essentially, as your reputation. You have value there. There is physical working out, like, okay, I'm going to be in good shape, not only for my own self, but other people say, oh, look at him, he's quite handsome and good looking, and some gals would like to sleep with you. So, but I want to warn men, where I see a lot of these guys where, yes, the red pill is very important. Yes, it almost like if you're being unplugged and trying to reprogram your point and purpose and ideology, your life theory, you're going to need to consume the red pill for a little bit and reprogram your priorities, purpose, and even thinking in life. But that unto itself cannot become its own value, because if you do, then you end up like these pissed off feminists, these careerist type gals. And I know they put on a bold front and we're strong and amazing and beautiful and all that. Yeah, well, we're not the ones taking, one in every 4 of us taking antidepressants. All right. And it's a very hard thing to do, to put forth that work and find value when half the population, namely the opposite sex, which was supposed to give you all your point and purpose and value, you're supposed to have a loved one, you're supposed to have kids. That's where your real value. Absent that, it is a long, hard slog for men to not only, one, find purpose and value and agency from others, outside, external value. I'm not saying vindication or validation, genuine value? What are you putting forth into this world before you pass away? Versus you're going to get mired in the ideology and become black pill. And I'm pretty cynical, don't get me wrong. And just that is now your new point purpose in life, because you will waste your life and not really have anything of value, like no legacy at the end when you die and leave. And I think that's a much more daunting prospect, is not dying alone, but dying and realize you waste your life mired in some kind of basically ideology of hate.
Exactly. Sterling, I got a question for you. You've told me in the past, like, you want to have kids at some point. Does that include like a monogamous relationship, or does that mean like you have a main chick and you're going to keep going? Like, how
Sterling already shaking his head.
You're an interesting case here, because like, to me anyways, it's like you're smack dab in the middle of this. You've never been married. You have expressed to me in the past that you want to have kids. How would you go about facilitating that in a relationship perspective?
Well, look, I think tagging on to your point before, like, I don't think marriage in the traditional sense doesn't really work anymore in this modern day and age. I mean, you've made it work, and I've seen you make it work. Like, like, for anyone, by the way, anyone who has any doubts about Rollo, like, his wife is his biggest fan. Like, you guys might think Sam Botter is like in the chat. He's one of his biggest fans. No. Rollo's wife is his biggest fan. I can 100% guarantee you that. And it's actually really refreshing to see that when you're around them. It's like, oh, there's a wife who like looks up to her husband as like he's the man, and it's really cool. But that's beside the point. Like, I never sort of gelled with the idea of monogamy. It was never for me, hence why I ended up in my line of work. And so I've known from the start that like the traditional model of like a husband and a wife is probably never going to work for me. So I want kids. I want lots of kids, and I have like a model that I'm working on. It's basically a harem model, but it's because I've got friends, and it's probably not the guys you're thinking of, but I've got friends who have done something similar to this, where they have a stable harem of women who all get along with each other, and we all enjoy each other, so to speak, and I impregnate them all, and we all live on a compound and have a good time. But that's not monogamy. That's more of a. You could argue that's even more traditional than a marriage.
Are you going to raise emus? I see pictures of emus off in the distance being raised.
Well, if I can import them, maybe they're good. They're good eating, so why not? But that's my model. My model is like, I'm not going to try and do this traditionally. I know that what I'm going to try and do is the exception to the rule, and that's why I'm going to do it, because I don't want to be like everybody else, Roller. I want to be different. It's just part of my drive, is to be the dude who's like an exception to the rule. So I'm going to try and do the thing that no one else says is possible, which is like, okay, I'm going to have like 6 loyal sister wives. Not wives, obviously, like in the legal.
Start your own NVXIMX cult.
Yeah, I'll start my own cult. Sure.
I can use or brand them. What are you going to go with?
I don't know. I'll brand them.
I couldn't believe that when I saw that. I got a list here really quickly. This is where we're going to do the lightning round real quick. 10 lies that women think men also believe. And maybe you guys can tell me if you think these are myths, or do men actually believe these? Number 1, men will forgive women's promiscuous pasts. Do you think that's
not if they have options?
We'll do that. Go ahead, John.
Not if they have options. If a guy has options, he's not going to take the one who's been ridden the hardest.
Yeah,
that's really what it comes down to. The guy who's desperate and can't get a girl, he won't care because he's desperate and can't get a girl. But a guy who has a choice, I can be with this girl who's got less than 5 on her body count, or I can be with this girl who's got 100. I got an option. So
do you think women believe that men will forgive their promiscuous pasts?
Well, they've been told that. They've been told that.
If you took a poll of men, more men would say yes, they would accept it, because more men are losers.
Yeah.
That's true. Number 2, men aspire and love being stepfathers.
Where'd you get that one?
That's an options thing too.
Well, I mean, but think about it for a minute there, Aaron, is
what the best you can do.
We glorify stepdads. He's not the stepdad. He's the dad who stepped up, right?
Men in their heart of hearts do not believe that. I mean, they may have to, like Fitch was saying, you know, you're either a chooser or a taker, a beggar or a chooser. Beggars, which increasing percentage of the men are, fine. Yes, you'll be the stepdad. But they don't like it. No guy it's like deep down inside, every woman knows fat is disgusting. Deep down inside, no guy really wants to be a stepdad. But hey, that hoo-ha is pretty tasty, especially if you can't settle for anything else.
Yeah, I've talked about this. I think those two actually sort of dovetail into each other. There is no guy aspires to be a stepfather. They do it by necessity. It is they make necessity a virtue is what they end up doing.
I would also real quickly add, women are acting more and more as a cartel, where they, as a monolith, we're all getting pregnant, we have a kid, now we're going to force this on you. Like OPEC says, we're cutting production, screw you, pay more on oil. I think women are acting as in a very unconscious, but albeit still effective cartelish behavior. We're like, no, it's perfectly fine we have somebody else's kid. You now have to deal with this lower quality oil we're submitting into the market. So, but that's another discussion for another time.
Number 3, the men that they friend zoned will always be there for them as a backup plan after they've been pumped and dumped by the Chads and Tyrones.
Not if they're red pilled, they won't. if they've taken the red pill, then they ain't. They're waking up and they ain't sticking around. They're like, screw that.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why holding women accountable and men sort of waking up to all like the game that they're actually participating in without realizing it is very threatening to women, because they want those guys there as sort of the plan B. I've done full shows on the quote unquote plan B dynamic, where I mean stats have shown that like something like 45 or 50% of women have the guy just sort of waiting in the wings just in case. He's the, like Chris Rock said, he's the dick behind the glass case, so break in case of emergency.
It's the insurance boyfriend. I've been that. Every guy has been the insurance policy.
Yeah. Have you ever been an insurance policy, Sterling? No. No, you're the other guy. You're plan A.
We're the fun guy.
Yeah.
The Cooper clause.
Yeah, exactly. You want to be plan A, not plan B. Number 4, women.
They've definitely taken plan B.
Number 4, men want partnerships and don't want to be the leader of their relationships. This is a really strong myth. I think that I see this constantly on Fresh and Fit. All the chicks on there, what do you want in a guy? I want an equal partnership. Why do you think that equality, that level of 50-50, even Steven egalitarianism is so endemic today?
It never works. When I saw it in ballroom dancing, where the guy,
why do they believe that's the ideal?
Because they want to. They were told to.
Yeah, they've been fed that their whole lives. Yeah. That's the way it is. But nothing. You look around, nothing. You know, there's always one center point of leadership in any union or any organization. You can't have 2 equal partners like running a company. You're gonna run the thing to the ground. You're gonna be fighting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But everybody's conditioned that, we're equal. And if one person has leadership, that gives them power. So then they're dominant. And if you don't have the dominance, you're weak. And it's just a weird mentality.
Honestly, I think that this is sort of a disconnect between human nature and the way things ought to be ideologically is what they would like. They would love very much for everything to be sort of like this egalitarian, you do you and I'll do me and we'll be just good, happy, complementary partners. But that's not the way that it works. That's not the way the machine evolved. And that's simply not human nature. Women, I'll just leave it with this point. Women cannot look up to a guy who is her equal. She has to be able to admire that guy. She has to be able to look up to that guy. If you want a healthy relationship, the man has to be at least one step above you, whether that's however that's defined. There has to be a dominance hierarchy. There's dominance hierarchy in every relationship. There's a dom and a sub. Even in homosexual relationships, there's always going to be a dominant partner and a submissive partner. And that's just the way that the machine works here.
Ain't that right, Paul? Right?
Yeah. Okay.
That's right.
Number 5, women believe that men will accept them as they are, regardless of their age, weight, or parental situation.
Yeah.
you think that that's something that would? Do you think that women honestly believe that, like that? Well, men will there'll always be some guy there, because a lot of MGTOWs think that too. Like, it doesn't matter how old a woman is, doesn't matter how, I mean, she can't be grossly overweight, but it doesn't matter what she looks like, whatever. They kind of buy into this almost, in the sense that they say, well, she's a woman, she can go down to the local bar, spread her legs, and she can always get laid, and she can always find a man.
It's
black pill as well.
That's definitely a myth.
Right. Ryan Stone has an interesting in his Fook Files book, where he talks about women wanting their cake and eating it too. And here's where I kind of wrestle philosophically trying to figure out this formula, especially with the clients I've had that are female. And I used to think humans were a little bit more resistant to brainwashing. These girls swallow it whole. And I don't know, like, it's an interesting philosophical question. Do women really believe big is beautiful? And on one theory, I know deep down inside they can't. You just can't. I mean, that's why they put on the makeup and everything and try and do anything but hit the effing gym to look hot.
The thing is, they have an inflated view, though, of their self and an inflated view of their attractiveness, because so many men basically simp or lie to them. They just need to put an attention-seeking post up on social media, and they'll get a whole bunch of "you go girls" and "you're so beautiful," all this stuff, and "you're so amazing." And she believes it. She's filtered her photos. She's done an upward angle. You know what I mean? And she's done everything possible to make her side. She looks like a different human being. Everyone tells her she's so pretty and amazing. And then she believes it. And then she goes off in the marketplace believing this story or lie. But then she can't find a partner. She might be able to find a guy who's a 4 or a 5 or whatever to sleep with her at a bar. But she can't find the guy that she thinks she deserves because of all of the evidence that's just not real evidence, right? She's getting in the sexual marketplace. So that's the problem.
I'm probably gonna shatter some reality.
The champ is here! The champ is here!
All right, grandpas, what are we mad about this week?
All right.
Look at my hat I got for free from my dad. Look at that. I got this free hat there.
John to tell us how we're all wrong because everything in Japan is all right.
That's right.
Let me tell you about China. Let me tell you about China.
That's right. That's right. Listen, Rollo, one day you'll get a passport. I know.
I have a passport. I'm coming out there. I'm coming out there just for you.
No. I am. I'm
not sleeping in your bed.
You are. You're gonna be a little spoon. Yeah. Anyways, no, I just was listening in. It was really good. Really good conversation. Really good vibes. I just think I think the biggest myth that needs to be dispelled is like that you don't need game. I think that's like. Oh yeah. I don't think these guys get it. Like I've been in the game now. I'm gonna be 36 on Thursday, and I demand $100 super chat from Cappy. And so
Speaking of delusional, okay.
Yeah, exactly. But
in silver quarters.
I know that's like Cappy's like a week worth of his earnings. But like a woman like I thought I had it all. I thought I had everything figured out. And I'm learning more about game every day, even at my age. And I've been in the game since I was 18, and I didn't have like this like red pill, like I was a fucking weeb, and then like I read an article like now I fucking fuck a lot of girls. It's not like that. Like I was like always hooking up with girls since I was like 16, 17 and shit. And like I've been just in it for like now literally like 20 years. And I'm still learning stuff, and I run a business off of this. I run a 7-figure business off of the knowledge that I have, and I'm still having like rug pull, like aha moments once in a while. So if I'm still learning about game, you at home who may be delusional or coping or in denial, you absolutely need help, and you cannot deny it, because now I think now more than ever in human history, like there's like more consequences for men who don't have it figured out. Like
I got a great myth to introduce when John's done too.
Like the NFL guy, like, dude, I mean, look at fucking Harry getting cucked by that post-wall hag. Right. Like a literal prince is being cucked by like a D-list actress, and globally cucked. And the world is mentioning to the extent that like they're making fun of him and he's so delusional. It's like, no, they're all wrong and she's my special princess and everything. So if you think that you're better than like a prince of England, like, oh man, you're fucked.
that brings up a really good myth, actually, which is the idea that your SMV is the only thing that matters.
Yeah.
Guys are so binary in their thinking in this space. I just think it's because we've trained ourselves out of critical thinking. You know what I mean? And looking at different data points and evidence. But it's like SMV alone can get you really screwed. You know, look at these guys with high SMV. I didn't mention them, but like your Will Smiths of the world, right? And look what happens. Look at your Johnny Depps of the world, dude.
Yeah.
You have to have game in order to navigate it. And in fact, the higher your SMV is, the better your game has to be, because you can't differentiate whether this chick is that ride or die genuine desire chick or if she's with you because of your SMV. And so I get people in consults who are like pretty high, like really high SMV 1%ers, but they are smart enough to book that session to figure out the game part of it. And they need to, because they realize, some of them after a bad experience, like going through a divorce or whatever, that they realize that, no, this game stuff's actually really important, because I could pick the wrong hot chick because I have so many of them to choose from, or the wrong group of hot chicks if they're not being committed, and really screw myself over. So that's a good one to mention, I think.
Yeah.
This is another good one here, and it kind of goes along with what you were saying here. Is why is I need to live my truth versus the truth such a strong thing for women? Why do they feel the need to
lacks accountability
ideology? I think that guys are also buying into this as well.
Oh yeah,
I'll find what
accountability.
It's emotionalism, isn't it? It's emotionalism versus logic. It's the denial that there is any objective reality.
It's any consequences for your actions.
Well, my truth is as valid as, even if you don't believe my truth, this is how I see my truth, and therefore it's real, and therefore it needs to be respected.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Delusional. No, that's because again, I think Paul said it, like, because it just strips them of any accountability. Bro, these bitches don't want to take responsibility for shit these days. Shit. It is hilarious. Right. And it's so funny, right? Because like what I've realized is I've figured out, and I think Sterling could attest to this because he's in like the heart of it all in Miami, right? I've figured out, in my opinion, why girls are always saying, like, I want the guy with 6 figures, 6 foot tall, 6-inch dick, 6-pack abs, right? Because these girls, modern day chicks, are so fucking broken, right? That it's just another form of like materialism. They think that, okay, if I have this perfect guy, then I'm gonna feel whole. Then I'm gonna fucking it's this guy's, I'm gonna adjust my lighting here. It's this guy's fault that I don't feel good, because this guy wasn't good enough. That's why the relationship failed. And I just need to find the next best guy. I need to go and I need to fucking get another guy. I need to go fuck another guy. I need this, I just need a guy with a bigger dick. I need a guy who makes more money. I need a guy who does this and this. But at the end of the day, they're just so like broken and fucked up inside, because Western society like is so fucked up. It's the equivalent of our fucking moron in Brazil who's like, just need a fucking threesome, need a foursome, need a fivesome. I'm 1,400 chicks, 1,500 chicks. Like, I just need to keep fucking chicks, bro. And like, yeah, like eventually you're gonna see that guy have a Roosh V style meltdown. I'm looking forward to it myself. But you can't, like, you're not gonna
it's emptiness on the inside.
Exactly what I was about to say. You're not gonna fix what's wrong on the inside with external things. Okay, like you see this happen with chicks all the time. People too, men too, right? I'm just gonna use women for example, because whatever, like that's what we do, right? But a girl's like, oh, I just don't feel good. Like, I have this like Louis Vuitton bag, and like if I just can get this Louis Vuitton bag, then I'm gonna feel good. And she's like, damn, I still feel like a loser because my dad never loved me, or my mom called me a whore when I was little. But if I just had these Dior sunglasses, then I'm gonna have it, right? Or like if this guy has a car and I really like him, oh, but this guy's a celebrity, I like that. Like, they just keep on pushing and pushing and pushing to fill the emptiness inside them with an external thing.
Yeah.
And that's like my truth. What really is like my psychotic delusion. Really.
So you're saying there, John, that like they're kind of these girls in, for example, out here in Miami, they're kind of using dudes as like a status symbol. It's like that they
Not
can
even
show
symbol.
off on their Instagram. Like, look who I'm with.
It's they think that a guy is gonna make them whole and make them feel complete as a person.
Yep.
That's what it really boils down to, and it's because
they're empty on the inside. Yeah,
exactly, because America is like the #1 nation with like, dude, like broken families like born in USA, man. Like it's like you guys don't get it, because yes, I am in Japan, and yes, I am in Asia, and you don't see like there are girls over here that are like 22, 23, 24 that are like hot, still live at home with their parents, like decent people. You like go out with them to like they have like a functional brain. They don't have mental diseases. Like America is so rife with mental disease that like it's just seemed commonplace. Like it's not normal for everybody to be so fucking fat. It's not normal for people.
Amen, John.
Dude, I was so sad when I went to Miami. I had to see a lot of hot
it's
girls,
not
but I was
normal for
like,
people to be so dysfunctional,
not
and
out
it's on the TVs, it's on the music, it's on
Degeneracy.
fucking
It's everywhere.
Netflix, it's on movies, it's everywhere. But when you live in the fucking zoo, you don't realize like you're surrounded by a bunch of goddamn animals.
yeah. And let me state, like, so the reason it's we've moved away from this idea of having an actual, I'll call it pair bond. That's kind of a misnomer though, but the bonding chemicals that you get with someone else when you have genuine desire. I'll tell you what, I've run through a bunch of e-thoughts, okay, in my day. They're bad at sex, okay, most of them. Why?
Yeah.
Because they're so restricted in unleashing that genuine desire, because their formula for happiness that they've been fed is all material and has nothing to do with having that really solid bond with a good partner. They don't have that anymore as a value. And then guys fall for it too, because without makeup and camera angles and some of the things that they're doing, there's so many girls in middle America, let's say middle Japan, okay, pick a country, that aren't on the internet, that are equally as hot, if not hotter, than the e-thoughts. The only difference is they're not collecting likes and presenting themselves. That confidence is fooling guys into thinking, oh, these are the 10s. Dude, I've been to small town America, and this girl that's like Perkins, I pick her up at Perkins, right? I dangle some beef jerky and say, look at, she goes, holy crap, he's rich. Because I don't know if you've seen the prices of those. And then next thing you know, she's naked. And guess what? Hot. Like, she's as hot, if not hotter than sometimes these girls that are on the internet and collecting the likes. She could do what they do, but she just has a different set of values, and she doesn't see that paradigm, and that's what it is. And she is dozens.
This is what they've reduced themselves to.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. And it's recyclable, if you notice. So it's toxic waste. Is that recycling? I don't know what that is.
It's a medical waste.
Medical waste. Well, there's that.
Biological waste.
There's that. But yeah, so guys don't fall for it. There's so many girls out there that are gorgeous, that aren't on Facebook, on Instagram, whatever, and they're not empty on the inside. You don't need to go for these chicks. The Miami girls.
Yeah, dude, like there's like
in a second. Go ahead.
Wow, I just want to say, like, I think I'm going to talk about Fresh and Fit for a second, right? So I think that though, when they had the fucking weird guy bringing in all like the turbo thoughts, right? Like when all those chicks are like, yeah, I want 6 figures and I want this and that, because their little like little minion who was out getting all these bitches, right? He was hunting girls that like have massive social media followings. You're hunting girls that have OnlyFans, right? And look, when a girl is actually happy and inside and internally, like her dad loved her and held her as a child, was like, you're such a sweet little angel. She's not like, she doesn't feel the need to like build a massive social media following. She doesn't feel the need to go on OnlyFans, right? And then those chicks who are so like loopy and fucked up in the head, they think that like I just need the perfect guy. That is what's gonna fix me, right? But dude, there are girls, bro. I've taken girls on dates to McDonald's that are just elated just to be with me, right? you don't have to like take like there are regular girls out there that like a guy that makes 40, 50, $60,000 a year and like keeps the lights on and like comes home and like, you know, they just live a good life together. There are good women like that. But in America, they get fucking scooped up. I mean, shit, Rollo, you weren't balling when your wife fucking got with you, right? And like most guys on this panel weren't balling when they got with their main chicks that they're with now. Miss MLD was fucking example. Like she would like, dude, I was like fucking poverty. Like I was poorer than Aaron, and that was like
no
rad.
one's that poor. No, it's not possible.
and she was just dude. I'm not even joking, Cappy. She loves going to Perkins when we go to America. She's like, can we just go to the pancake place? Can we go to Perkins?
What? I don't know. Maybe a sign from God.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Listen, we're two peas in a far out pod, man. Yeah, there are normal girls out there. The thing is, they get scooped up, and a lot of guys' windows into the sexual marketplace these days is dating apps, which is another place where psychotic bitches fucking congregate. Because guys, we're all guys, right? All the men in the chat, men on the panel. How easy is it to catch us? We are a dumb animal. We are very easy to catch. Like, here's a sandwich. Here are my tits. Like, okay, I'll show up tomorrow. Like,
show up, you know, get a ring beer.
You know, but they can't even do that. Like, dude, God, dude, like I understand why Cappy's book is so like dark when it comes to the book numbers and the online dating thing. I think it's a little skewed, but that's where psychotic bitches congregate. Because think how easy it is to catch a man. They're like, yeah, I can't do it, so I'm gonna have to get on.
I have to come to this conclusion. They don't want a guy. They're only going to take a very select elite group of men because they have been conditioned to replace value in their life with their career and idea and ultimately the altar of themselves. I mean, here in the United States, Japan obviously sounds like
it's happening. It's happened here too. It's a modernization thing, but like, you know, I like with Sterling's video and or his screenshot or whatever with the broad in Romania. First of all, run. Second of all, like you know. There are girls that like they did a survey. Aaron, you probably don't know about this. They did a survey in Japan, right? This like westernized survey company came to Japan. They're like, all right, we're gonna show like how oppressed the Japanese women are. Like they're so oppressed by masculine culture. And they surveyed the women, and they're like, why? Like you're in college, you want to get an education. What are your dreams and aspirations? Over 70% of them was like, I want to get married and have children. They're like, but no, what man brainwashed you to do that? They're like, no, I want to get married and have children because I'm a fucking woman. But it's just such a foreign concept to America because we're so far down the path now in the generation that it's broken women raising broken women broken women. Because it started.
You claim I'm cynical?
No, I'm not.
My book is empirical. It's audited by an actuary. I know. It's not opinionated. It's a fact.
No, I agree. I agree with you. I mean, hell, why do you think I fucking left? But I am saying, like, the men are not without responsibility either.
Oh yeah.
Let's be real. It's really the men's fault. Like I understand institutions, blah blah blah, right? But honestly speaking, how many of you guys at home really know in your heart of hearts you are a catch versus you're not a catch, and why don't you have a woman?
I do now that I have the women's delusion calculator. Thank you very much, Aaron Clary, for that.
I know that guy. He ran ads for my book on there. It's great. He's a cool guy.
I got standardsbro.com. Yep, I did a whole show on it.
God, that's great. I'm so glad to see like people using that right now too. I know you didn't have anything. Well, maybe you did actually, Aaron, have something to do with that at least.
It's my laziness and procrastination because in my book I said I would come up with a model just like that, but then he did. And he said my book was part inspiration for why he did. So I'm like, good, done. I don't have to do it now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, yeah. So he took care of it.
I should do a full episode on that, but I see Myron and the rest of these guys using this like occasionally now. And I'm just like, oh, this is brilliant. Yeah. Because it shows you the numbers and empirically speaking, you know, kind of stuff. And I think that's really probably the toughest sale when you're trying to bust myths is you're having a conversation that is primarily rooted, and this is with men or women, by the way, I'm not picking on either one in this sense, but it's primarily rooted in how that person feels, and that's what got them invested in that myth in the first place. And so like when we say, you know, when Kevin Samuel says like, you know, you're average at best, it's a statistical analysis rather than I'm trying to make you feel bad about yourself. And that's really where the disconnect happens between those two, because I can go do episode after episode and show statistics and research and the delusion calculator and everything else. But like at the end of the day, right? At the end of the day,
I'm gonna say it's
real.
It's also BS. Let me just say why it's BS real quick. Because, all right, chicks, there's strategic pluralism, right? When you ask a girl what she wants in absence of an alpha male that she is genuinely desiring and pining for, what happens is she's going to give you a list. And that list is her transactional beta list. And so when she, you ask the girl a lot, whether she's fresh and fit or whether she's some just random girl you met, she's going to give you some list and it's going to be super inflated and stupid. The reality is they don't know. Most women are unaware of what attracts them to men. And as soon as they meet a dude that hits all those attraction triggers and hits the right spots, all of a sudden she's buying that guy dude dinner. She's buying him dinner, right? She's trying to figure out how to stay with that guy. Now, every girl, no. Some girls really block that genuine desire part of themselves through running through a lot of dudes and, focusing on these transactional goals. But most girls, not a chance. When they meet a guy, they're trying to see, I really desire this guy. Can he fit this? Can I make this work? Right? That's what they end up doing. Oh, I want a guy who's 6 feet tall. Yeah, right, dude. Like that guy's an alpha guy and smashes her properly in the bedroom and has a lot of value. She doesn't notice that he's 5'10". You know what I'm saying? Like these things don't matter at the end of the day when she has a desire for that guy because his game's on, right? And so focus on you, focus on the game, and don't worry about that crap. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. It's funny to look at.
What Cappy said was right to an extent, because the bottom line is it's never enough.
Yeah, right. They want everything,
and it's because they're broken inside. And the only way, and the men are too. Like I've seen guys like I found a piece in the red pill, and they just think like I just need to fuck the next girl. And dude, what you see it with status chasing. I just need another supercar. I just need another Rolex. I just need more money. I just need more this. I need more that.
What about yellow hats? Are yellow hats a status symbol nowadays? I mean,
if it's Carhartt, is that Carhartt?
It's yes. So, but you see what I'm trying to say? It's like the real epidemic is people not being whole inside and like in fixing their inner issues. That's why I've been realizing everything boils down to inner game. Everything fucking boils down to inner game. Every single thing on this planet boils down.
That's why I put that mindset course out prior to the seduction stuff I'm going to do, because I can't, if a guy's broken on the inside, I can give him all the greatest advice on the planet. And he's not going to execute properly, and he's going to.
I'm starting to see that myself, John, is because this is probably no shock to anybody on this panel because you probably get these too. But like, I get emails from guys who want a one-on-one, in spite of me offering on my Patreon a once a month, sort of group chat kind of thing, which is actually taking off. Thank you for the idea, John. But it's helping sort of like address a lot of guys' issues as far as like what's going on. They might just have a question, or they might be going through some sort of situation. But I still get guys who want to do a one-on-one counseling with me, which I'm fine with. But they usually started off by this wall of text about like how they grew up and they were 4 years old, and when they were 12, this happened, and their parents split up, and I've never kissed a girl, and I'm a virgin at 32, and it's just this. Please, the return key is your friend, guys. If you want me to read or use the return
paragraph tax, gotta charge them a paragraph tax.
Really, it's not. I don't even care. Like it doesn't. You break the sentence. Just break up the wall of text, please. It doesn't have to be proper English, but you're right. I think that there's a lot of guys who are looking for just sort of they're looking for a therapist. They're looking for somebody who's going to sort of even just listen to them in a sense And again, I'm not a psychologist. I don't play one on the internet. I have a degree in behavioral psychology, and it's a bachelor's degree. I do not have a doctorate. Okay. And so when guys throw that stuff at me, I 100% agree that there's like, I mean, the worst of the worst. There's guys, I think there's varying levels of guys who are looking for help right now. There's the guys who just say, hey, I need a book on game. Can you like tell me like just the basics? Just give me the basics, which is what I'm working on right now. Or I'll refer them to Troy. I'll say, okay, you need to go infield, go do this kind of stuff. God, I love those emails. Please just, give me something that's simple and to the point. No problem. Then I've got guys who will, like I said, write me a wall of text. They start from the beginning and they keep going and going and going. And then I'm like, that's a much more deeper issue than like the red pill. Like they look at the red pill thinking that it's like this panacea, right? If I just learn this, I read this book and I do these things, and I'm going to live a better life. And really what it is it's them sorting out issues for themselves and letting go of a lot of crap that they, unlearn what you have learned, right? That's they just don't want to take that look at themselves on the inside, right? It's looking at themselves insightfully and then saying, you know what, here's some things that I can do. And it's not a Tony Robbins kind of like rah pep rally thing. It's like you really need to do an overhaul. You need to take the engine out of the car and reconstruct it, kind of thing. And some of these guys I can help, and some of these guys I'm just like, you need a therapist, man. You need somebody who's like, this is above my pay grade.
The thing is, they're looking. I respect those people because they're looking for the answer. Exactly, they're looking for the answer. But I'm telling you, dude, over these past, I started live streaming on January 21st, 2019, and between that time, I've helped literally directly helped over 4,000 guys. And I have helped guys become millionaires. I have helped guys fuck multiple girls. I've helped multiple people on this panel with their marketing and getting their brand to the next level, right? And the common thing I've noticed, and not saying anything about anything with the guys on this panel, but with my clients and stuff, is like they get the body, they get the pussy, they get the money, but then they're like, I want more, which is naturally, it is healthy to an extent, but to the degree that they want is
they're unhappy and they want more. That's the thing.
That's the discontent. Yeah. Even when they've got what they think that would make them content, they are no longer content. And that's I've mentioned this a million times. That's
the inner
people. The human state is discontent. You can deal with it destructively or you can deal with it constructively, but that's part of the machine. That's just how you're wired.
And I think some people are more prone to it than others, which is why some people become drug addicts and alcoholics and all of those things. But Dopamine Nation by... Who's it by?
Good book.
Dopamine Nation. Anyway, get that book. It's really, really interesting. It's pretty new, isn't it, Paul? I think it's fairly recently came out. It's by Dr. Anne Lemke, and it just talks about our society's predilection for and desire for dopamine highs, and the fact that we're all now on this sort of hamster wheel of dopamine, needing the next high, needing the next hit, social media, likes, retweets,
ejaculation,
whatever, exactly, all of that stuff,
everything, dude.
And it's not going to make you happy. You have to find a way. Well, you have to find a way to live in this society and be successful and engage in those things to some extent, but also recognize that's not the stuff that's going to make you happy.
And
it's an inside job.
And I want to say this too. This is why people like Roosh are having meltdowns, right? Because he is internally still not happy, but now his new drug is religion. And it's like, this is his new cope. He's like, I'm going to find myself talking about God and coming to peace with it, because and me and Aaron talked about this in private. He actually acknowledged me positively. Of course, in private.
I know you exist, John. You're like that puppy dog that won't go away. I'm aware.
Right,
like
Dad.
a herpes infection. I am aware you exist.
That's right. I'm going to sting when you pee to the day you die. But this is why you see a lot of these guys have meltdowns or go spiritual or whatever after they go the dating route, like they go business route, or they go fucking woo woo RSD, or they go Christ, like Roosh, and then like now you see like, you know, all those fucking psychos from the 21 Con, like they're all starting to become Christ like now. Hilarious. But really what it all is boiling down to is like they have trauma, they have unresolved issues, they have a lot of mental health problems.
Guilty.
Yeah. And they're not,
or personality disorders.
and they're not fucking resolving it. They're not there, because the thing is, once you heal your inner trauma, once you heal your inner broken game, because a lot of guys in this community, like, it's normal for us as humans for a man to go out, talk to a woman, have sex with her, and get with her. It's normal. Something has to happen to you. The wires have to get, you know, shorted for this not to be ingrained in you normally, right? And like I said, we're just like, what's the saying? Like, we're in a prison and we're in a crazy house and it's run by the inmates, right?
Subjects run the experiment. Yeah.
Right. And that's exactly what's happening now. And like psychopathy has become the norm. And like, we're like, yeah, like every girl's a whore. It's normal, right? Like every dude's just a fucking simp. That's normal, right? But it's not. And like, that's what it boils down to is like, you know, all your answers. And this is what I've been doing in my time off. Like I've been doing a lot of fucking introspection and a lot of research. I've been digging hard and like finding answers, because that's what fucking people want. People want fucking answers now more than ever. And so because I have done it, I coped the wrong way. Because I fixed my issues. I thought just fucking get super rich, just fucking fuck a lot of hoes, just, you know, buy a bunch of Versace, like, you know, eat a bunch of food, do a bunch of drugs. I have done it all. Okay. But once you get your inner game sorted out, now you're solid. That's why you see, that's what a natural is. You know what a natural is, guys? A natural is a guy who's not fucked up on the inside. That's all it is. That's really what all it is.
Well-adjusted alpha. Yes. Yeah. Exactly. I'm gonna tie this up here in just a second, but I do want to throw out like two more myths that I had. We don't have to cover them if you don't want to. The first one was, and Sterling might want to talk about this, is the idea that women are more sexual than men. Truly, just on the inside, they're more sexual. They enjoy sex more. They are more. I love this one is women hit their sexual peak at 40. You know?
The milk has gone sour at that age.
Yeah, like
the nature of their desire is so different than
it's
male,
not that they hit. It's not that they hit their sexual peak at 40. It's that I think they kind of realize like all they have left is to be sexually aggressive. Like they're like, oh, shit,
myself to offer you.
Amen.
Yeah, like I can't bait dudes anymore with just my.
That's how they have to compete in the marketplace, right?
Yeah, so that's how they have to.
I see it play out all the time. Last night I was just meeting up with an old friend, a guy I used to actually old martial arts student of mine. He hadn't seen him in years, and we're just doing guy thing, hanging out. Right? We had the girls that came up to us aggressively and hit on us and opened us were all over 35. Now there were girls that were under, like around the 25 mark or younger, that were checking us out, but they were trying to put themselves in our orbit kind of thing. You know what I mean? Versus like being aggressive and approaching and literally trying to close. And that's because those older women knew that was how they had to compete with these other younger chicks who were more or less checking us out and trying to engage us in like light conversation, a little bit less direct. You know, and so
all right, go on, John. Give it to us. What were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just I've seen it, you know, working at the bars over the years. You can see the younger girls, you know, just have to put themselves in an area around guys to get noticed, where the older chicks, you know, they're up in your face. They'll walk right up to you as soon as you walk into the bar. They're grabbing on you, feeling on you. It's just way more direct and in your face.
To go to that first myth you talked about, like that women are just as sexually like
just as sexual or more sexual. They're just repressed by you evil patriarchal men.
Yeah, so I'd say that like men are more like horny. They want sex all the time. They want more variety than women want. They want it all the time and from lots of different women. Women aren't like that. They're more perverted though in their in their sexual
secret garden.
Yeah, like Nancy Fro's my secret garden, talk about it all the time. I detail all this in my brand new video course, Do Talk 101, which you should get. Links in the chat.
Nice play.
But the idea is that like like most dudes, if you ask a dude what's his fantasy, it's like, I don't know, getting my dick sucked by 2 chicks. Like dudes are
real basic.
Like, it's real basic shit, right? But with women, it's like, I want to tied up from the rafters and have hot wax poured all over me and spank and flog and be taken out into public.
Random guy punches me in the face, leaves.
It's a lot more.
He's got to be dressed up as a 1930s spy in in France.
Harry Potter spy.
Harry Potter, James Bond.
I'll just throw my 2 cents in here. I've written, as you know, this is a prime chapter in the first book. Is women are more sexual than most guys want to believe they are,
right?
But it is a biological impossibility for women to be as sexual or to want sex as much as guys do, simply because of biomechanics.
Well, women don't have a concept of how much sex guys want. You know what I mean? Because they don't have our testosterone levels.
Here's fun. I use this as an example in the book, Paul. I remember my brother used to be an amateur circuit bodybuilder, and he used to know some of these girls who started taking like steroids, not trend, but like the 90s steroids, like decabolin or whatever it was. And the first thing they would say is, I can't believe how horny I am. I can't believe you guys walk around like this all the time. And it's like, now you know, that's the only way women are going to experience that level of libido that a guy does, is by having some sort of synthetic, testosterone in their bloodstream.
Yeah, no, and women can get insatiably horny, like where it's like she just wants it over and over and over again. Usually it's from that genetic option, or that guy she sees as a genetic option.
Yeah, it's from one guy. It's from one specific guy.
And it's a certain time of the month, because their horniness is, which Rollo's got a lot of work there on the ovulatory shift cycles. But it's estrogen that is driving that, as well as some other hormones. Or testosterone is what drives us. Testosterone makes you competitive, makes you want to go out and get things, and it's more consistent all the time. Whereas during a certain period, they're really horny, but they're also receptive too, is another thing.
Proceptive. They go out and look for it.
But when I say receptive, it's like you can ignite a girl's horniness when you take Sterling's course and you dirty talk them. But really, though, you like that? I plugged your course. You like how that worked? But really, though, they're receptive. They could be walking around not necessarily thinking or geared on sex, and all of a sudden something just ignites it. You know what I mean? You'll hear girls talk about that. Like, they'll just be like, he said something, like the tone of his voice, and all of a sudden I was just like, ugh, or she caught a glimpse of some body part, like, I saw the way his hands were or something, and now all of a sudden super horny. Like, they're really receptive in that sexual response, versus guys who are, ooh, I'm gonna get her. You know what I mean?
Let me read this, Paul. Everyone wants to be remembered. Every one of you arrogant, magnificent bastards have and will continue to change lives. All of you, you guys are gods. Gods might be a strong thing for.
That's a lot.
That's not for us. No, we're 100% gods. Yep, we're gods.
Last myth before we break here, Aaron. This is for you. Why does the myth of the gender pay gap continue to be a thing?
So Democrat and Labor Party can get elected. Women want to be victims, and they don't want responsibility. They are lazy. They do not want to major in math or engineering, but then they want to bitch and whine and get paid as much as men. Men do it too in different ways, where, I'm oppressed in X way, so give me special treatment. That's all it is. And I am sick and tired of, out of goodwill, trying to help out women, saying stop majoring in stupid stuff. You will close the wage gap, go into STEM, and I'm called a sexist for it. So F them. I don't care. Go have fun with your, what's her name? The Facebook gal. What's her, the executive? Sheryl Sandberg. Have fun with that life. Have fun with having dried egg hoo-ha down there. Have like a puff of dust come out. Have fun ruining your life, because and stop being disingenuous. It's one of the things that pisses me off, where you damn well know why you make less money. Shut up and either go do that and you will close the wage gap, or stop bitching about it. But no one's oppressing you. No one's stopping you. We're trying to put a gun to your head to get you to go into STEM. Y'all just don't want to do the work. I'm as pissed as Rich Cooper is about clients of his coming up, well, how do I do it easily? And they don't want to do the work. I'm at the same level level of picks because they're being disingenuous and hypocritical.
Nice. All right. Well, this has been a really great subject. Actually, this turned out to be a really good panel show. I'm gonna go. We'll do the round table here. Let's go with John first, Mr.
Yo, I still have my free self-defense course up. Go to my links in my bio, johnfish.net. Go to the website, sign up for the newsletter. Book me for personal training, seminars, small groups, you name it. I'll check you guys later.
Awesome. Are you going to be going to San Diego, my friend, to meet up with John?
Mostly, yes.
You better go there. I'm going there. I just or else I'm going to do something about it, John. I'm just kidding.
Troy, you're up. What's going on with you?
Good stuff. Okay, great show today. Thanks for having me on. Couple of things. First thing is go over and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I'm putting up loads of world-class, high-quality content over there. Lots of nice reflections on modern dating and the sexual marketplace and so on. If you want to grab my books, and there are 11 of them about dating, game, the dating marketplace, sex, all of that good stuff, I've just spammed the link into the chat, so pick that up. You can get a bundle of those books for a very reasonable price. And the other thing I should mention is that we are going to be in Mexico at New Year, Mexico, from the 27th of December through to the 2nd of January. I'm doing a boot camp with James Tusk's guys. So if you're interested in doing some live training, actually getting in amongst it, going and actually, getting off the internet, getting your dick out of your hand and actually talking to some real life women in real life and getting some results, then it's going to be a lot of fun. So hit me up. You can email me, Troy@RealTroyFrancis, if you're interested in that, and we can have a chat about it.
Troy, put your channel link in the chat. People are asking about that. So.
Yeah, I will do. I'll do that. Cheers.
Aaron.
Okay, I'm going to do a Modern Life John level plug for my stuff. You can find me at assholeconsulting.com. That's the main thing. Not at
Denny's. We can find you there, right?
No, Perkins.
Oh.
Please get it right. Perkins.
How dare you?
Anyway, I'm not so much the resident expert on picking up in girls. I am, however, your financial expert. And please get these books in your life. You're not going to be poor, right? First, the Book of Numbers. This is the most recent one. I'd say for the shortest read, probably your best bang for your buck. This one, if you haven't gotten it, Bachelor Pad Economics. This should be right next.
That's one of my
the Rational Male. Yes, if you get your finances together,
it's twice as big as the Rational Male too.
Is it?
Oh. How big is that book? That's a thick
500 pages.
Book. Yeah, you have almost.
Yeah. Well, it's a reference book. Don't read it all in one shot. You just read the topics that are germane to your life at that time, so it's not too intimidating. And then finally, I do have I don't know how to do it because I'm a boomer. Somebody, not me, do it. I put it in the private chat. I can't get in the radio chat. I have a course on minimalism. You dropped that? Okay, thank you. So if you search the Clary School of Economic Philosophy, it'll take you to my Teachable page. I'm offering a course on minimalism that basically teaches you how to spend less than you make, which is not as easy as it first sounds. If you're addicted to spending, that's the first step to get your financial act together. It doesn't matter whatever you do if you're always in debt. Take that seminar. It's available. All these things, I guarantee you a positive rate of return. You will not lose money on them. So my books, if you can't afford a lot of things, but if you have trouble spending money, you go ahead and take my course on minimalism. And that'll be the last time I offer it this year because I'm going to do vacationing and family stuff during December for Christmas. And I got other things, but you can find me on the internet.
Awesome. There you go.
All right.
Paul, tell me what's going on, man.
ApexMindset.net. You can go to Apex Mindset on YouTube for all the free stuff. Okay. ApexMindset.net to book a consult. I've packaged up a couple of consulting packages because of guys who need to get rid of trauma. That's not going to be a one session deal. And guys who need to get through or over a breakup. Those are two major pain points for guys. And so to pay my rate on a one-to-one basis can be a challenge financially. So I've packaged up those things for them. And then of course we have the Alpha Mindset course is still out. And those are all kinds of things that you can do to recondition your neural connection to responses that aren't serving you very well. Bad emotions, bad forms of thinking, and of course, what it all boils down to, which is behavior. So if you need any of that stuff, go over there. And more announcements in the future for some seduction things that are going to happen in membership programs.
Excellent.
This is the theme music.
Damn, I need a theme music. That's so sick.
I'll find something for you.
Well, my brand new video course, Dirty Talk 101, launches tonight at 11 p.m. EST. If you still haven't signed up for it, you can get it at 50% off. If you get it, you'll order in before 11 p.m. tonight. After that, the price doubles. It jumps up to $399, so you can save yourself $200, get it for $197 if you sign up before 11 p.m. tonight. The link is now in the chat. I just hit this enter button. And I cover a whole variety of things. There's a few things in this course that you wouldn't expect on a course on Dirty Talk. I talk about a bunch of stuff like improving your sexual self-esteem through language. I talk about perfecting your delivery. I talk about getting a deeper voice. I go over the importance of the concepts, understanding how to influence her imagination, how to influence her subconscious. Obviously, I give a ton of examples on Dirty Talk, a bunch of different frameworks for you to use. And I really emphasize the point of using Dirty Talk as a way to plant seeds in a woman's mind,
literally and figuratively,
which you can reach the benefit of later on in your relationship. So check it out.
Here we go.
All right. Throw it up there, Rollo.
Okay, here we go.
Cat's out the bag. Rollo kind of slipped it up, but we're doing Hot Dude Con, baby. Hot Dude Con USA tour. So here's the deal. It's $100, and it is a 3-hour event. We're going to meet speakers from this panel, and the money is just to keep the psychos out because these things keep growing. We had a Hot Dude Con this summer in Miami. More than like 50 people plus showed up. So if you want to meet me, you want to meet Rollo, you want to meet John Fitch, you want to meet Apex Mindset, you want to meet Sterling Cooper, all of us. I will be in San Diego, California, December 18th. I will be in Dallas, Texas, December 21st, and I will be in Miami, December 23rd. The website will be up. We have a paid venue. There will be speakers. We're going to have networking. And me and my team are going to give you a live breakdown of your money muscles game frame status. So your financial situation, your game situation, your physical fitness, your physical attractiveness. You can get a full live consultation and plan of execution. This isn't some honky-dory like just love Jesus and love yourself and you're going to be okay. None of that. We're going to give you an actual concrete plan of action. This is not a feel-good bullshit meetup. You're going to come meet me. You're going to come meet my team of guys, people who are making 7 figures, 6 figures, cryptocurrency experts, game experts, mental health experts. You're going to come here and you're going to get solid results. Okay, this is for guys that are serious. So you also want to meet like-minded men as well. So send me a DM on Instagram, Hot Dude Life. The website is going to be up, and I will be returning to YouTube on December 1st, which is Wednesday. I've been off for 2 months. I've been studying. I've been developing a lot, and I'm coming back with vengeance. So come down to Hot Dude Con, shake my hand, and after the event, we're going to go out. We're going to have drinks. We're going to have dinner. We're not going to go like pick up chicks or whatever. This is not about picking up chicks. This is about networking with other like-minded men. If you pick up a chick, by all means, go home and fuck the girl, right? But that's not what this is about. This is about making your life better. This is about taking action to improve your life. So if that's something you want to do, come on down. I'm going to be there. My team of guys is going to be there. That's all I got to say.
Nice. All right. I guess it's my turn now. Yay. Well, I will be on tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, my regular long stream. I don't even know what to call it anymore. The Rational Male. Go to this channel right here. You're already here. I've got something really spicy lined up, and I am having a hell of a time trying to figure out how I'm going to do it without getting banned or getting a strike for doing it, because I'm going to dig into that video that's being sort of making the rounds on Twitter. We'll talk about that a little bit. I've got some other things lined up as well, so that's going to be tomorrow. On Tuesday, I will be flying into Miami, Florida, and I will be hooking up with, well, maybe hooking up is a strong word. I'll be hooking up with Sterling while I'm there. And I will also be on Fresh and Fit on either December 2nd or December 3rd. I will be on with the Tate brothers, Andrew and Kristen Tate. I have a feeling I will probably be doing a lot of different videos while I am there. Also with Sterling in his, as you can see, let's see, can you see the background? Show me the background there, Sterling. Yeah, that's his new studio. I'll probably be there on the casting couch. He'll be asking pointed questions. Probably have Justin Waller will be there as well. Tom, I'm going to hook up with. We'll probably. I would love to go fishing, but I don't know if winter's a good time to do it. But I'll be doing that. There's some other things that are going on. I'll probably be pretty active on Instagram. However, what I won't be is active on this channel on that Wednesday. So I'm bringing my video gear, so I'm going to try to do some live stuff from either the hotel room or on location kind of stuff. So watch that. There's going to be a lot of like fresh stuff that I got going on, but will be quick hit videos, probably no longer than like maybe 10 to 20 minutes, somewhere along those lines. So that's coming up. I will be flying back the following Sunday, so I will have a pre-recorded show ready to go for you next Sunday. So that's what's going on. As far as book 5 is concerned, we're just about ready to go. I'm planning how to do the launch at this stage. So bear with me. It will probably be mid-December or maybe very early in the new year. So that's what I got going. And I wanted to say thank you guys for showing up one more time on Rule Zero. We've been doing this for a long time. I've been talking about this. We are at, we're going to do the, I should add this. We're going to do the year-end wrap-up show, and I don't know what the date is, but whatever the last Saturday is. Let me look at that really quick on the calendar. But either I'm going to host it or maybe Ryan will host it. Who got to host it last year? I'm not really sure.
Might have been Rich.
Probably, I think Rich got
the last Saturday is Christmas Day.
It's Christmas Day. Okay, so yeah, we might have to do it a little early. We might have to do it on New Year's Eve.
Do it January 1st, man.
January 1st. Okay. Well, we'll do it towards the end of that month. So that is coming up. That's always fun. I try to get as many people on as I can for that. The super chats and the big chats go big, and also we have special guests that drop by for that show. So that's our year end.
Could I offer
almost
in the time years. In the time of charity and kindness, which the Christmas season usually is, in a very charitable gesture, could we bring on our favorite mentally impaired person, Jack Napier, for that show? Perhaps
we could do that.
We could do that. Okay, all right.
It's always the invite's always out there. So, all right, guys, thanks for the show. And next week, John, are you going to be able to host next week, or are we going to pass it back to Troy?
I might throw my hat in there. Keep me in the loop if you need.
I got to take probably not. I got to take a Japanese certification test the next day. So no.
Well, I can't host because I just did this one and I'll be in Miami. But Aaron, you're more than welcome to host. Troy, you're more than welcome to host as well. And maybe me and Sterling will be in the same studio at the same time when we do Real Zero on Saturday.
That'd be fun.
We'll take our jammies with a nice big cup of like coffee and oversized cup of coffee. with our little fuzzy slippers. That would be great.
You know damn well somebody's going to clip that.
I know.
This time he's going to look at this.
Check this. Oh, what's wrong with these? Yeah. That'll be funny. All right, guys. I will see you next week. Thanks a lot.